Hi everyone, I'm Peter, and that's Matt.
Yep. Like the shirt says, today it's clobbering time.
This is 1.21 Gigawatts. We talk about movies pretty much every week, and this week we are going to talk about Into the Forest, which is a mostly drama, slight tinge of sci-fi, I guess, in terms of the setup.
Slight tinge?
Slight tinge.
That is generous. That's like saying Die Hard's a slight twinge of Bruce Willis. Wait, I got that
Yeah,
backwards.
you got that backwards. What are you talking
I got
about?
that backwards. That's like saying that. Anyways, my
Okay,
point
Matt's
still
Matt's
stands.
point is just been killed into the ground. He has no hope of recovering from that.
No.
Oh dear, it's a good job you're not a politician, Matt, because you would not do very well with those speeches. And
No, but I would have a teleprompter. So,
true,
you know.
true. We're going to review the movie. We're going to start spoiler free, and we're going to go into spoilers halfway through, and you'll be given warning before we do. So if you want to bow out at that time, completely
Spoiler,
understandable.
nothing happens for large portions of this movie.
Matt's given his Matt, you don't. You have no sense
No.
of withholding. There's no suspense to your opinion. I like to hold it back until I
Oh, I know.
finally reveal it. Whereas you're very.
When,
What's
when
the word I'm
I'm
looking for?
fired up, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm like a bull that just charges at anything that moves.
See,
So,
this is the thing, right? I didn't really like this movie that much either,
oh, thank God.
but I don't understand why you can be fired up about it, because my complaint is that I think it's impossible to be fired up about anything in this movie.
Because I was thinking there was going to be a larger sci-fi contingent to it, and because even the trailer that we watched a couple months back, that trailer was hinting towards the sci-fi stuff, and I just kept waiting for it to happen, and I kept waiting. I was like, "Here come the Marauders, here comes something, here comes robots, here comes aliens."
Well, I wasn't expecting robots or aliens,
Well,
but the thing is, Matt, is right from the opening music, I knew what I was getting with this movie.
ugh,
Because the opening music's this really somber, um, and not in any kind of sweet way, just somber in a kind of, oh, we're going for heavy drama here kind of thing. And right away, I knew that this movie, yeah, there's going to be the setup where like it's like kind of like the start of the apocalypse with the internet going out and the electricity going out, and they have to just live off the land. But once we get past the setup, it's just about the two people in the in the house in the forest dealing
yeah.
with things, which is fine. Like I actually kind of like that idea for a setup. The idea that like not every person, like most regular people wouldn't know what's going on. If all communications and everything just went out, then fine, yeah, no one would know. And I kind of like that approach. Like it's kind of like before Shyamalan, hit the shitter. Signs
Yeah, yeah.
was very much the family's perspective. You don't see the military making decisions or like
No.
investigating the alien menace or anything like that.
So yeah, again, there's a way to do it that keeps it interesting. That's not like this was the equivalent of a novel I had to read in high school. Like one of the ones that, well, there's going to be a test from chapters 4 to 10, so you got to make sure you read it. And I was just like, I'd rather be doing anything else right now
This
but this.
this was a play. This this
Yes,
this was a
yes,
play about two characters, and I guess I mean that's mild. I mean, you know from the trailer the two girls are on their own
yeah,
for most of the movie. So the dad who's around at the start, obviously something's going to happen to him, and we won't say what until we actually get to spoilers. But like it's just going to be mainly these two characters, and it's them just like surviving. And here's the thing: is this I could have still liked this. Like you could have like not added any other elements to it, and if it had just been written in a slightly different way and been directed in a slightly different way, I would have probably really enjoyed this. This could have been, you know, but instead it goes for this like dry. That's the word. That's the word I'd use to describe it. It's dry.
it's so dry.
It's dry as hell.
Like I've watched documentaries that weren't dry as this. Like, and that's kind of the point of a documentary. Like it can be entertaining, but they're still they want to put out this information, and that's why they do it in documentary form versus narrative. You know, in this, I was just like, oh man, that's like you said. I can't think of a better word but dry. And about I want to say a third of the way through, the characters started irritating me with every little thing they did. It was like being stuck in a room with people you don't like, and it's like, oh, well, they're making a smacking noise every time they make an M sound. God, I hate that. which up to that point you didn't care.
I wasn't going that far with it, but yeah,
Yeah.
I will agree that both characters eventually did start to annoy me. The older sister in particular, at one point, became very whiny and very needy,
Oh.
and it really started to like
So
grate on me.
Ellen Page's character was the older one, right?
No, I thought she was younger.
Okay, so then it's the other girl because I found both of them very whiny and needy in different parts of the movie. So that's why I was trying to figure out which one was the older one.
I think Evan Rachel Wood's character was first because I
Okay.
distinctly remember her whinging about the gas and wanting to hear music and stuff, and um, I don't know. Can you answer me this, Matt? Maybe maybe they're hinting that the climate's also starting to go to shit. But I've lived in this current house that I'm in
Hmm.
for what age was I? It's about 18 years now. It's been a long
Oh
time,
wow. Yeah.
and we've never had any type of like structural damage in any way, shape, or form, and that has nothing to do with having electricity or having
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
And the house in this movie starts to like fall apart by the end. So, and there's a lot of rain, but it's Scotland here. It fucking rains.
Yeah. Yeah. There's houses in Seattle that it rains like 9 months out of the year that are still structurally sound,
Yeah,
even without power. And all I can think of is maybe something with the humidity. Again, I'm not a scientist, or nor do I play
yeah.
one on the internet, but by that point in the movie, power's been out, what, 10 months?
I think it was 15 by that point.
15 months? Yeah, so even with the rain, like, they have a roof. It's not like a storm came through and blew the roof off, you know?
Yeah,
And that's why it was
we,
falling apart.
we never see anything like that. It's just sort of like typical
Yeah,
rain and typical,
yeah.
weather. It's never
No,
anything extreme. So,
no, and they start seeding that out early when you see drips and whatnot, but still, even if it's black mold, like they say in the movie, like, just bleach that shit and it's fine. Like, it's not gonna take out whole beams like a fire, you know? Well, granted, probably they probably didn't have bleach, but still, keep
yeah, I
bleach,
mean,
guys.
well, I don't
It-
know. I mean, what else would they be using the bleach on all that time,
yeah,
really?
right?
I mean, do they care about keeping their clothes that clean? Like, as long as it's not stinking, then
Yeah,
why do they care? Really, they're
yeah.
out in the forest.
Well, I was going to say, Pete, you can use bleach for other things than clothes, right?
Give me some examples. What would they be using bleach for in
So,
this time period?
so like at work, we bleach like the floors because kids are nasty, and so it just does a really good, nice, thorough
Well,
job.
yeah, but
You
like
know,
again, why would like again with the exception of maybe when someone throws up or
yeah,
something like that, why would you be bleaching the floors? You don't need to.
true. I'm just saying
What are they expecting? Company?
wow. That was another thing.
Well, I'll save that for spoilers
I
because
know.
that's
No, not
that's.
that part. Just
Uh,
the first time they go to town
mm.
and Ellen Page, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, can we not do the teenager bullshit right now? Like, the
And,
power's out.
and by the way, like she's been in her like mid to late 20s for a while now. I wasn't
Yeah,
really buying
she's
teenage years.
definitely closer to our age than she's ever been, right? Like,
I
she's
think.
not Juno anymore. Juno came out close to 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I think she's like a year or two younger than me. So
Yeah.
yeah, no.
And I genuinely like her in movies. Like, she's not even in Juno, which it's a movie that I don't particularly like, but she's decent in it with the right direction.
Oh, I like Ellen
So,
Page. Ellen Page is great in all this
yeah.
stuff. I really like her in Super.
And Super, that's another one. Yeah.
So Super's great.
She's really good in Super.
And she's a fine supporting member in like Inception and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I like Ellen Page.
But that's the point, is she blends in and she doesn't stand out very much. Because, like, I forgot she was in Super. Not, like, because it's forgettable, but you're just like, oh, yeah, that's her. And same with
uh,
Inception. Oh, yeah, she's the architect.
Nothing stands out in this movie though. That this is kind of like this is going back to how dry it is. Like
Hmm.
the direction is one of the things that's really dry because nothing is played in any type of like. There's moments later on where there's suspense like brought into it because of
Hmm.
like possibly villainous people or whatever,
Yeah.
and it just kind of like plays out almost beat for beat exactly as you're kind of expecting,
Yep.
and it's like, well, the act that's like what's happening is in real life would be terrifying, so you should be terrified. And I'm like, well, no, it's a movie. You
You have to
have
ramp it
to
up.
build it. You have to
Yeah.
make me care as a viewer. Just going, well, if this happened in real life, you'd be terrified. Well, yeah, of course it would be, but that's not the same thing. Like it's like Now, obviously, Schindler's List isn't a bad movie, but it would be like if Schindler's List was like just a terrible movie, but people
Yeah,
said, "Well, no, but it's based on the Holocaust, so you have to care."
yeah. Oh,
Like, well,
definitely.
like no, like it can still be a shit movie. Like it doesn't build
Yeah.
it properly.
There's plenty of shit movies that are about the Holocaust because the person that directed and wrote it kind of don't know how to artistically put it together in a
Yeah,
way that's
yeah. I've not
Spielberg.
seen any of them, so I couldn't think of any
Yeah,
actual
because
bad
I
examples.
tend
But
to shift away from those just because the subject matter is very intense. And I don't handle, like, I cried at Pete's Dragon this weekend. So you had Holocaust in there. It's not going to be a recipe for success. Uh, but
but
yeah.
no. So I mean, I thought the two actresses were fine. Like obviously they're not. If anything, this is an actor's movie, which is probably what attracted both of them to the roles, is that they could get to do all these like big emotions and all that. Unfortunately, I don't think anything else around them actually makes the movie captivating to actually
Yeah.
make us care. Uh, you could really tell it's based on a book as well. I mean, you said it was like it was based on a book, but I even think it's the book's probably better. Like I can imagine reading like the inner thoughts of the
Yeah.
characters and it being a lot more captivating.
Yep. Because then when, Ellen Page is it a spoiler that what she finds in that egg? Right?
What, a chocolate? No, I think that's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah. Okay. Because I don't want to, because that's like a crucial part of the movie. Like, they don't talk for like 2 weeks because of that. Like, yeah, so she's rummaging around the house and finds like an Easter egg, and there's chocolate in there, and she sneakily eats it. And it would be nice, like in a book, to where you can see her weighing: should I do this? Should I actually call my sister? Should I share this? And
I mean, yeah, obviously that's an example, but I'm thinking even just all right, food's starting to run out, like that fear of not having food.
yeah,
Whereas in the
yeah,
movie, it's basically a montage of them like looking up in a book to see what to pick in the forest. Like like
yeah,
there's things like that. That,
yeah.
that struggle would be what makes it captivating.
Well, and that's this movie. It gets almost there and then focuses on something else, like the chickens, like whatever got in there and killed the chickens. That's a crucial moment.
That
And
should be terrifying.
yeah, because you never know. Something knocked this fence down. Probably wasn't human. Could have been human. You don't know. And now they're just going, oh well, now we have no chickens.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
next thing.
there's some weird things like that. I mean, I don't think. I mean, it's not by no means is it a terrible movie. Like it's like
No,
like everything about like I don't think anything about it is exceptional, but at the same time, it's not like the direction's bad. It's not like the
no,
script is a
it's
mess or anything like that. It's just
no. I just what fired me up more is clearly it was saying that it was a sci-fi, and that's what you gave me a list of movies that we could watch that are relevant to the times
yeah.
right now.
I want to point this out. Matt had a
Yeah,
choice in movies this week,
yeah.
and I don't usually give him a choice. I said, "Here, Matt. Here's your 3 or 4 options."
And of course I voted for Keanu, but it's like, come on, who's gonna tune into everything that's said about Keanu has been said? Like, I'll watch
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
we'd be reiterating jokes for 10 minutes, and that'd be about
exactly. So it was between basically this and Warcraft. Dodged Warcraft like
it.
weird American
To
Gladiators.
be honest, I feel like we
I
still made the right choice.
I don't think so because at least I could have watched Warcraft and be like, "Yo, Duncan Jones, what are you doing, man? Get back to sci-fi, bro." Like, Mood is so good. So, you know, but this, I was like, well, sci-fi survivors are out in the woods. Maybe we'll get something cool. Maybe, and it just, again, we all know how much I didn't like The Lobster.
Oh, the lobster's way better than this.
Oh, but at least I was entertained with Colin Farrell and the group, just because it's dry in a different way. It's like witty dry.
Oh yeah, it's a dry
And
wit, yeah, and that's intentional. I think the lobster's actually a good movie. It's not just that it's better.
yeah,
I think it's legit good.
right. So this, I was just like, I wish I was watching The Lobster again. So
Oh, you hated that as well.
yeah.
All right, I think we'll dive into some spoilers then. So full spoilers from beyond this point, but clearly we are very sort of meh on the movie, middle of the road. If something really dry sounds pleasing to you, then by all means give it a shot. But
Scratching
otherwise,
yourself with sandpaper, please. That's how dry this is.
So, spoilers. First of all, I want to say the guy who works at the store. What was his name? Stan. I want to
Yeah,
say.
the dude that looks creepy.
Yeah, the dude looks creepy, and then he comes back to the house, and obviously that's the big sort of the darkest moment in the movie is when he comes by and rapes the older sister.
Yeah.
Now, he was really distracting to me because he was actually the villain in season one of Winona Earp, which was just on.
Ah! So you're like, that dude's up to no good.
And his name in that show was Bobo. So all I could think when he was on screen is this guy's called Bobo, and it kind of took me
Crazy.
out of like the threat. But like, I mean, the actual scene itself was fine. Like they had him sort of like creep onto the like in the background like well
Yeah.
enough, but the actual conversation between them I thought was really I don't know. It just like it felt like such a like there was no like there's scenes like that where you can tell this is like she can tell this is dangerous, right? And he's
Yep.
there to do something bad, but they're making small talk anyway. That
Uh-huh.
like you go watch like a Tarantino movie and watch how he handles something like that, and how like there's just this tension the entire time, and how
There's no tension here.
no, you know what he's about to do, and then he just does it.
Yep. And that's the thing. He walks up on her, she's chopping wood, right? Like, she has a gigantic axe. Like, what is up with this dude that thinks, yep, that's prime candidate? Like,
But the other problem is, as soon as it started to happen, I'm like, well, she's going to get pregnant because that's the worst possible thing that could happen. And sure
yep,
enough, she gets pregnant.
yep. Well, because she's bitching at her sister, who has this little dalliance with a guy that shows up from the party early on. And she's like, you better not get pregnant. I was like, oh, well, I know what's happening to you now.
Yeah, exactly. It just
Like,
felt very like, well, of course that's what's about to happen. Like, what
yeah,
else could happen at this point?
yeah.
Um, and yeah, then he leaves. I mean, I do kind of like that he does just kind of vanish and disappears. Like, you know, he really came for the gas, but I guess like
Stop by
the
for a
opportunity
little.
for something else arose, and
Yeah.
he helped himself. And yeah, the point is, of course, it shows how awful things have gotten. That people
Yeah.
who are otherwise normal are like degrading into this, and that's a fair point to make. But like I say,
But I never got the vibe that he was normal,
true, he
right?
felt creepy at the start as well,
He
admittedly.
felt creepy at the start because he kind of leers at the girls when they go with dad and stuff. So it's kind of like, which I get, but so when I pulled up this book, because after the movie ended, I'm like, is this based off a book? Because it has to be based off a book. And it was, and the first thing that comes up is that it's a feminist, post-apocalyptic survival tale.
All right, okay.
And I was like, wow, Wikipedia, that's very um, sort of compartmentalized. Like, I don't think there's many other movies out there like that, unless I'm just missing a whole genre.
Well, no, I can't believe I've heard of the feminist post-apocalyptic subgenre before.
Yeah, right. So, and I get that when you watch the movie, it's like, oh, okay, it's these girls dealing with life, and that's all cool. Like I'm
Yeah,
glad
like
that they
like
attempted to try it. I just wish they could have done it better. Because look at Fury Road, right? You could say that's a pretty feminist movie
yeah,
because of Furiosa.
to the point where some anti-feminists were complaining that it was too
Right,
feminist.
yeah. And that's a post-apocalyptic survival, right? Like,
It's also an action movie, which is
right. But I'm just saying, I feel there's ways to do it without it being so dried. Because I think that could be a cool genre. Because I think we both agree, like Ripley is such a great character
oh
because
yeah,
she's an
like
ass kicker in sci-fi.
I like, and I get that it doesn't want to be an action movie. It doesn't want to be
Yeah,
someone where other ass kickers. Like it's meant to be more
right,
normal, down to earth people,
right.
and that's fine. But it just again so goddamn dry.
Yeah, I feel like they shot themselves in the foot if they were trying to establish something with that. Because this is the type of movie that, in different circumstances, I would definitely want to watch
Yeah, because
again.
I don't think it mistreats the like for being feminist. I don't think it like puts a negative light on the male side of things because as much as you
Oh,
have this creepy rapist, their dad is a very good man and like
yep.
at least
Well,
ever
they talked about,
from
yeah,
what I've seen.
like not just that he's taking care of his girls, and then tragedy befalls him, and now they have nobody, but like when the love interest comes in, I can't remember his name. I know the actor's name is Max Minghella, but he shows up and he's like, "Oh, you guys don't have bikes?" and like, oh no, dad gave him to his school to kids that needed him more.
Hmm.
You know, so right there in a line like that, you learn what kind of guy dad was while he was still there, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, this boyfriend character who comes in for a little while, even he's like, he's not a bad guy.
no,
Like, he's
he's
fine.
and I kept waiting for that
So
because
did I actually see when she was going to go with him like in like
yeah,
trek to Boston, and
yeah,
she like changed her mind and he sort of
yeah,
sighed. Like I was expecting him to turn into a right dickhead at that point,
right, me
but
too,
but
and
he
he
didn't.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, so again, I feel like some sections of the internet, the guys that hated Mad Max, they hear this is a feminist movie and they're just like, oh, well, it treats guys like shit. And it's like, well, no, it's pretty fair all
yeah, like
throughout.
yeah,
And
no,
that's why I wish for those type of people that they could watch a compelling movie where girls don't have to kick ass and can still show strength.
yeah,
Does
no,
that make
I
sense?
I agree. I actually think the weird thing is as a feminist post-apocalyptic movie,
Yeah,
I think the feminist part of it is probably the strongest aspect, where
yeah,
it gets all those things right. It doesn't treat the men like they're shit to make a
right.
point. It's fair, and the women are strong and deal with situations. Uh, it's just everything else is not that compelling. Like what they're actually having to do isn't that made
Is
that compelling. It's just
yeah,
um,
yeah. And it's right, just like man. But so yeah, so dad is out cutting lumber so they can have a fire and has an accident with the chainsaw. Um, in which I just go, man, this is your like life source, right? Like this chainsaw.
pretty much, yeah.
Don't you want to make sure it's in proper working order before you
Well,
go
because he
out?
took it apart to get the car started before, didn't he? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
implying that, like, when he put it back together, that he didn't quite tighten that one screw
right.
as much as he should have. Which, I mean, I appreciated that they built a bit of suspense and like because you kind of had a feeling like he was going to get taken out of the equation somehow. And they
Yeah.
had that moment with the guys in the bikes, and he like locked the car door. There was that moment where he stopped in the road, and there was those like guys with the shotguns and like scared him back. And they kept like poking at these things of like danger.
Right.
And as much as I appreciate them doing that, the actual event that took him out with the chainsaw felt like a bit of a I don't know, like fire in a blank or something. Like
Yeah.
it
Well, that's
felt
exactly right. It was just
anticlimactic.
like, you know, I'd almost have accepted it if like the tree fell on him because he wasn't paying attention. But for the screw to come loose on a chainsaw, I was just like, dude, that's his lifeblood. And this is a very grounded movie, so I don't feel like I'm nitpicking. But like, that's how you got the car started. You're gonna make sure that chainsaw's in proper working order as long as you have gas for it. You know, because you might need to start the car again with it.
Also, we should mention that it is actually set in the future because there's not much of it, but at the start of the movie, their TVs are more like hologram type things, and
Yeah, and
their
she
their
interacts with
phones,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and
But the thing is you completely forget that after about 20 minutes because once all the
well,
power goes, it's
yeah, but they also mention about chocolate, where the one girl's like, "Well, you've never even had chocolate before,"
no,
you
that's not
know?
what she says. She says you didn't eat chocolate before.
Oh, okay. Well, I took that as like the future's change things.
No, that was just she's a
It's
dancer. She
commodity.
watches her weight. She doesn't eat chocolate.
Oh,
That's
well, then that's even less interesting. God, God damn it.
yeah.
So,
Um,
well, that's why I thought she lost her mind over chocolate because she's like hasn't had it since she was a kid.
Yeah, it got to the point where the characters were really starting to annoy me in like the middle of the movie. That when they find the envelope that says pumpkin on it and they think it's a note from their dad, which admittedly I thought was like this is a bit contrived. I actually really liked the revelation that it was actually just an envelope full of pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
That was actually really funny.
It was good because pumpkin's a nice source of food, and it rained like hell up there. It can grow. You know, it's more useful than a letter from dad. Like,
Oh dear. And then
uh,
things just kept getting worse, and obviously the movie ends with them burning the house and just going into the forest as the title of the movie with
yeah, which in this little alcove, which they should have kind of been staying in to begin with, like, trying to upkeep that house and whatnot. Like, I don't know. There's
well,
that scene.
I don't think upkeeping the house would be a problem if the roof wasn't falling in. Like,
Yeah, but why was the roof falling in? We went over this earlier. It's a shoddily built house if that's the case.
yeah, like a building should be fine.
Yeah, I know. But like, I don't know, my first signs of things like shit starts going sideways, and I've listened to enough things and read enough things. Like, what's gonna do you damage are other people. So you kind of want to be out away, and they were already kind of far away as it was. But I don't know. You had this little alcove where the sister was going with the boyfriend to have sexy time. So I'm like, well, why weren't you guys making more use of this in other situations? Also, when Ellen Page tried to kill the boar from the tree with the shotgun and she falls out, I don't think I was supposed to laugh, but I did because like any type of physical comedy at that point was welcome.
Yeah. Um,
Like, I was like,
uh,
you weigh a buck 15 at most. Like, this thing's gonna send you flying back if you're on stable ground. You're sitting on a limb of a tree.
yeah. So I think to sum up, the movie like is trying to do a lot of worthwhile things. It's just it is so dry that emotionally I'm just left there feeling kind of numb and like I don't really, I'm not feeling anything about anything.
Yep.
You know, as it went on and like you say, there was a scene where Ellen Page has sex with a boyfriend, and it is probably the most unerotic, like,
I got irritated at that because the sounds they were making. I was like, there's no score, and it's
yeah,
like, I don't know if you've ever had thin walls because you've lived in that house like your whole life. But like, if you have thin walls and you can hear all your neighbors, that's what it kind of was like. It was like, well,
yeah, it sounded awkward.
yeah, and I was just like, should I knock on the door and like be like, hey guys, we can hear you? But it was a movie. I couldn't knock on the door. But yeah, it was very awkward and just the whininess out of the sisters when that guy shows up and they just start doing the catty sister thing. I was just like, oh, can't I deal with this in my personal life enough? I don't need to be watching a movie full of it. So, but yeah, they irritated me so much that I was just trying to get through the movie without screaming at points. So
Oh well,
that's a ringing endorsement if I've ever heard one.
that's Into the Forest, which I kept calling Into the Woods when we were planning to watch it,
Yeah.
forgetting that there was a musical called Into the Woods a couple of years ago, and I definitely wasn't watching that. So, uh,
No, I know Pete enough to know that no musicals. Like, I feel like the only musical he's ever really seen is the Once More with Feeling episode of Buffy.
I've seen a couple for crossing the classics off the list sort of
Yeah,
purpose, but yeah, that's probably the only one I like.
yeah,
So yeah, you're right there. But no, that's Into the Forest. I think that's pretty much everything we can poke and prod at. I think there's a good movie in there somewhere. It's just so goddamn dry. like like the thirst was real by
yep.
the time I got to the end of this. But that's Into the Forest. So let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below if you've seen it. Like and subscribe and all that jazz helps us out a lot. Of course, check out everything else we do on this same channel. You've got all the horror stuff at Screams After Midnight. Head over to the TV channel, Mailed Fuzz TV, for all the weekly TV reviews of different stuff and our DC Comics podcast. That's everything we do, and we appreciate it when you chime in and help us out with sharing us out and stuff like that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. We will see you next time. Keep watching movies. Goodbye.